This morning, a Fox Lake police officer killed by his own gun. That's among the new information we've just learned. Good morning. I'm a reporter for you.
And I'm Roseanne Tejas. Lieutenant Joe Gliniwicz died on the job exactly 1 month ago today. CBS 2's Mike Puccinelli joins us live now from Fox Lake. And Mike, we don't know much more now than we did then.
That's right, September 30th. That was the day this town was rocked by the news that they had lost one of the village's police officers, Lieutenant Joe Gliniwicz. Now comes word that 9 different DNA samples were discovered near the veteran police officer's body. And police talked for the first time about the gunshots and a struggle at the death scene.
There were indications that there was a struggle that took place at the crime scene. I will confirm at this point that Lieutenant Gliniwicz was shot with his own weapon. There were 2 shots. One of the shots entered the right side of the front of his vest. The shot was severe enough, and this is at the pathologist and coroner's estimation, to incapacitate the lieutenant. A comparison was made. It would be similar to that of a sledgehammer hitting you in the side.
The second shot was the lethal blow. It hit Officer Gliniwicz in his upper left chest area. Now, police set up a 2-mile perimeter around the area where the lieutenant was found. Hundreds of investigators poured over it, hunting for evidence. The 52-year-old Fox Lake cop was found in an isolated part of town where he said he was pursuing 3 suspects. But those suspects have never been caught or identified. In order to try and identify the DNA samples recovered at the death scene, all of the village's police officers have been swabbed. Their samples are among more than 100 taken from individuals who may have come into contact with Lieutenant Gliniwicz on that day. Gunshot residue results have been released, but they shed little light on exactly what happened.
These are inconclusive. In layman's terms, the weapon could have been fired by Lieutenant Gliniwicz, or he could have been in the close proximity of the weapon being fired.
Now, typically in a case like this, the manner of death already would have been determined to be murder, suicide, or possibly an accident. But in this case, so far, the coroner says he has been unable to determine a manner of death. That as more and more people in this town are continuing to ask questions about exactly what happened on that day 1 month ago. Reporting live outside the Fox Lake Police Department, Mike Puccinelli.
And there you see him on the screen, G.I. Joe Gliniwicz, the Fox Lake, Illinois police officer who staged his own death. That's right. They wondered what happened for a period of 2 months and found out that this officer staged his own death after unaliving himself, or before unaliving himself, because he was stealing money from the fund of the program he ran for the department that mentors youth. Now, it took them about 2 months to figure out that his death was not a murder, but self-unalivement. It was a rookie police officer who first noticed the position of his gun and said that it was self-unalivement. But everybody on the scene rejected it, saying that the man was too vain to do that to himself. It wasn't till about 2 months later that the information came out. And this is one of the videos that finally revealed what this one particular officer knew right offhand.
Breaking news right now. Sources tell CBS 2 News Fox Lake Lieutenant Joe Gliniwicz was not murdered. It was. Good evening. I'm Rob Johnson.
And I'm Erica Sargent. A formal announcement is expected tomorrow. The news likely closing 2 months of endless speculation. CBS 2's Brad Edwards is live in Fox Lake with the investigation. Brad.
Good evening, Erica and Rob, here in front of the Fox Lake Police Department. There isn't really a hint that this is the home of a fallen officer, let alone that there's a manhunt on for 3 potential cop killers. That's because sources tell us it looks like a suicide. The question for 2 long months: what happened to Lieutenant G.I. Joe Gliniwicz, shot to death September 1st after reporting he was chasing 3 suspicious men, 2 white, 1 black, in a marshy woodland?
Joe was my best friend, my world. My world got a little bit smaller with his passing.
Sources now tell us it appears to be a suicide. More than 400 cops initially searched for fugitives, Residents were on edge, but there was little outwardly that pointed to murder. There was, however, infighting amongst investigators, including when the coroner mentioned details about the death.
We're not going to comment on what the coroner released.
I'd say more the word for that would be irresponsible. We don't deal off of assumptions. We don't work cases off of assumptions. We work cases off of facts.
The 52-year-old lieutenant was shot twice with his own .40 caliber pistol, once in his vest, once in his chest. Officially on the record, authorities will say that the case, the investigation has concluded, and tomorrow morning they'll lay out the meticulous findings over the past 2 months. We're live tonight in Fox Lake. Brad Edwards, CBS 2 News. Rob and Erica.
Brad, does your source indicate whether the authorities knew all along that it was, or is that something they came to a more recent conclusion on?
I think it is believed they held out for quite some time, but really holding out solely on the information of Lieutenant Gliniwicz's first call, those 3 suspicious characters he was chasing, although many would contend that the initial scene pointed to this conclusion very early on, but certainly a question that needs to be asked, Rob.
Okay. Brad Edwards live in Fox Lake for us. Thank you.
Now, that article was evidently before they really came out and admitted it, but you still see some of his cohorts trying to protect him, even in his shameful death. And the fact that he had hundreds of officers out looking for 3 suspects, 2 white and 1 black, shows the disregard, even in death, that he had for truth. And people wondered why he did this. This next video is going to show you his motive and reasoning behind doing what he did and blaming it on some unidentified suspects. Just listen.
In another story that was already shocking enough, we learned today that an Illinois cop who staged his to look like a murder was deeply troubled for decades. Dean Reynolds has that.
Around Fox Lake, many of the ribbons that went up when Officer Joe Gliniwicz died are still blowing in the wind this week, though many here now believe it was an unwarranted tribute. David Zipp is a local attorney.
I got to tell you, I'm floored. I'm shocked.
Authorities say that Gliniwicz stole thousands of dollars from a local youth program for prospective police officers and staged his to obscure his criminal activity. Now, details from the lieutenant's personnel file portray the 30-year veteran as a disgrace to his uniform. In 1988, after 3 years on the job, he was found passed out at the wheel of his idling pickup truck. He received 6 5-day suspensions back in 2000 for sexual misconduct against a fellow officer. He was accused by a dispatcher in 2003 of threatening to shoot her. And an anonymous letter sent to the mayor by other Fox Lake officers in 2009 listed 20 complaints and claimed Gliniwicz was destroying department morale.
It's been surreal.
Ann Marin is the village administrator who was auditing the program which Gliniwicz used as his personal piggy bank. She was shocked to learn that his deleted text messages suggested he considered having her killed.
It's a very scary thought that an officer who is sworn to uphold the law would even attempt to think to do something like that to an administrator.
Joe Ahern runs a charity for families of fallen officers. It gave the Gliniwicz family $15,000 after his death and now wants it back.
That must give you no particular pleasure either.
None whatsoever. In 49 years, we've never had this happen.
And sources confirm that the widow and a son of Gliniwicz are now under investigation, Scott, for any connection they may have to his criminal activity.
Dean Reynolds in Chicago tonight. Dean, thank you.
Now, keep in mind, he pulled this stunt in 2016, September the 1st. But back in 1988, after just 3 months or 3 years on the job, they found him asleep at the wheel of his idling truck. That means he was either drunk on D roads. That's 30 years earlier. And they mentioned 6 separate sexual misconduct complaints about him, threatening to shoot a dispatcher and 20 other complaints that went unchecked. This is the danger of the police always trying to cover one's tracks. They said that he was stealing thousands of dollars from this program and even threatened to kill the lady who was auditing the program. One article said that he had a unmarked bag of D-rugs from the evidence room at the time of his death in his desk, which he was going to try to plant on that village auditor who was auditing him. And his wife even was aware of this, and that I think she was being investigated. This next article is going to give you some in-depth details of their conversation, Joe and his wife conversation, about the walls beginning to close in on his misconduct. Just listen. So even the wife was in on the scam, taking money from an organization that wanted their money back. She was texting back and forth, knew what he was doing. And this guy was considering the Volo blog, which was a swampy area in which he was probably going to dump that little village auditor. Like, think of all of the other stuff that he did that he probably got away with. Planting D-rugs on suspects, possibly killing suspects, probably committing other crimes that never went solved because he had all of the wits and know-how and the police knowledge to cover up crimes. Keep in mind, this happened 10 years ago, and there are still cops out there like this. You know, those cops that you see shooting unarmed people, cops that you see beating people up, those are the same cops. These are the same individuals. And so they're all around the nation using their badge for sinister purposes. And so I just ran across this story, so I had to once again bring it up because there's a lot of cop misconduct today that mirrors this stuff right here. And so he was able to fool people for a while, about 2 months, until once again, the truth came out. As the scripture said, all things hidden shall be revealed, and whatever is done in the dark will be exposed on the mountaintop. And that's what happened to this guy. He was a disgrace, just like a lot of those criminals who hide behind the badge, and as well as those who back them, knowing that they are criminals as well. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. Thank y'all for liking, watching, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And as always, I pray you have peace and blessings.